With a stock thickness of 0.09 and that fine and precise a tip, this blade should not be able to handle this type of abuse. Oh my God, look at that flex, that's insane. Oh, I hate this type of test on that fine a tip. Oh man, look at that. Nothing, no damage, no bending, wow. Well, if that little guy can handle it, this blade that's 0.13 inches thick on the spine, and a little bit thicker tip, should have no problem with the same test. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's good to see that type of flex and then have it just spring right back into place. That's what you want. Tip testing is the worst. Knives are not crowbars, but these are different steels, so yeah. Cool, no problem, that's good. So now we know the more compact SOG Ether in S35 VN, even though it's thin, that steel's pretty tough. And that the more overbuilt SOG Provider in 154 cm is also no slouch. So let's take a deep dive into these two compact fixed blades and see what their capabilities are as everyday carry instruments, as well as their performance in the outdoors. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Aaron, this is Gideon's Tactical. Let's dive in. Now, slim and lightweight is really the focal point of this fixed blade series. The maximum thickness of the sheath and the handle scales of this knife is going to be 0.28 on my measurement. So that is extremely thin. And then you're going to have a weight of the knife itself at 2.1 ounces and 3.2 ounces with the sheath and pocket clip. And you move over to the Provider, the knife is 5 ounces. And then with the sheath, it's about 6.2, 6.3 ounces total carry weight, and the maximum thickness without the pocket clip is 0.48. So about the thickness of a pocket knife. So they're very slim. Now, what's cool is that these have G10 skeletonized handle scales on both. They are removable, that you can do paracord lashing if you want to customize it, lighten them up even a little bit more and slim them down even a little bit more, you can do that. But there's no alternatives. If you want high vis, you got to go with the more compact. If you want more low profile, you got to go with the larger Provider. I think what would have been great is if they had changed these up and had the sheaths be black, so they're neutral, then in the package they gave you a set of green handle scales and a set of orange handle scales and a set of green handle scales and a set of orange handle scales, so you could rotate through. There's not a lot of material there, and depending on the scenario, maybe you're going to use the Ether for a hunting trip and then you're going to carry it as EDC the rest of the year, you could swap that out and use it for high vis when you need it and then low profile when you need it. So that would have been a cool little feature, not the end of the world, but just something I was thinking of. Now, with the Ether right there, you can see it's about 3.75 on the handle length. I have full real estate on my large sized hands. I'm not coming off the back end there. We got a little bit of a guard there. There's a little bit of texturing, which is great. So you definitely have a little bit of grip. You know, they're not slick. And for the style of what this knife is, for just quick cuts, very tight manipulations, you know, you're not gonna be sitting there for like an hour making, 15 fuzz sticks, feather sticks. That's not really what it's intended to do. But for that general utility, even though it's slim, easily done, food prep. If you are going to clean a fish, skin game, you can easily do that. And it gives you a lot of manipulation points, a little bit of jimping on the back end right there. And then the spine is fully jimped. And then you have these two little texture points on either side for a pinch pull. So that gives you a little tactile grip. Now, if that was high carbon steel, I wouldn't be a fan of that because that could pit out really easy and you get water particles sitting in it. I have purposely, done a lot of different food prep as well as moisture tests with it. And this seems to be fine with the S35 VN because it is a stainless steel. And guys, this is a YouTube video, so you know what I'm gonna ask you to do. Hit that like button, and if you haven't yet subscribed, to consider subscribing, becoming part of the Gideon's Tactical crew here, making sure to hit that bell icon so you can be notified every week when I put up new videos on gear and equipment to help you better stay equipped and prepared for whatever life throws your way. As we're about to find out, the Provider provides a different ergonomic experience because the handles are thicker, laid out differently. But I want to tell you about one piece of equipment that has been providing hydration for me on trail in a very unique but very capable way, and they're today's sponsor, which is Hardside Hydration. What I love about this American-based company is that they have devised a way for you to have hands-free hydration and give it to you attached to your hard-sided water bottles, regardless if it's your favorite 32 or 48 ounce Nalgene or any 28 millimeter ultralight bottle that you would get at the grocery store, say like a Smart Water bottle or a Fuji bottle. The ultralight as well as the original swig rig system allows you to attach to these types of water bottles, keeping your fluids on the outside of your pack, meaning that you can see when fluids get low, making it easier to refill, and gets the hassle out of those cumbersome and hard to clean water bags. And that's why they've become an essential piece of kit when I go on trail for over 2 years now. So in the description below this video, I'm gonna have my 10% off exclusive promo code that you can apply towards your purchase, as well as a link over to the Hardside website so you can see all the different accessories and features that this system offers, so that the next time you hit the trail, you can be better hydrated and have that hands-free ability as well. Now the handle on the Provider is noticeably different. One of the first things I noticed were the tubed Allen head bolts that hold the handle scales on. They're flow through that you don't get on the Ether. They're torque bit, basic screws. I wish they both kind of matched, and that's what's interesting is even though they're in the same family, these just don't, they're nuances that are just different. I like the style of these. And I feel like you might have access to an Allen head a little bit easier than a Torx, so that I appreciate that. The second thing is that the handle is 4 inches from guard to the back pommel, and again, giving you more thickness. So it feels like a pocket knife basically when you grip it. Everything is milled. Both handle scales on both models are flush with the spine, and everything has been rounded and contoured. So there's no real hot spots in that regard. Of course, it's thin, but it does give you a little bit more girth than the smaller Ether. Now, one thing that also is weird that you don't get on the Ether, and I'm glad because I don't really dig it, is this back exposed pommel piece right here. We got a little bit of jimping. It's 90'd, so you can throw sparks with it, I believe, so that's good. And you can do some different stuff, but I don't really know why it's there. And you can see with my large size hands, I'm just barely not contacting it. So if you have a larger hand width than I do, and you start getting into that, you're gonna start resting up on that, where if that wasn't there and it was like the Ether, you would still be able to grip it without much difficulty. So I just wish that that was non-existent. It just doesn't really need to be there. You're gonna get jimping almost all the way to the tip. They did not bring it all the way to the tip. It's a similar style, but a little bit bigger, so it's not quite as aggressive feeling as on the Ether. If you're gonna do woods work and you like resting your thumb and you're interested in these profiles, this is the better one because it does have that blank spot up there, so you don't really have an issue, and I was able to do woods working like that for a notch a lot easier, put pressure on the front spine, and you're not gonna have any issue. Now the blade profile is a big part of what makes me connect with these designs because they're classic drop points, full flat grind with great belly, but still good tips for piercing, as we've seen not only outperform particularly the Ether that what I was expecting in piercing and lateral strength capability. Again, I wouldn't recommend that, but we know now that there's some strength there. And just with that full flat grind and being under an 1/8 of an inch thick on the Ether, just over on the Provider, you're gonna get awesome slicing capability. But just general camp, woodscraft, you could easily get done because of the style of the blades. From handle to tip on the Ether, you're looking at like 3.1 cutting edge, 3 inches even, and then you're looking at about 3.6 cutting edge and 3.7 inches from the handle scale to the tip on the Provider. The Ether has that shiny satin finish, and then the Provider has that flat stonewash finish. I like the flat stonewash a little bit more. I wish they had kind of done that on the Ether between the two. Obviously, S35VN is the more premium of the two steels than 154. Both great choices. They're both made in Taiwan. SOG as well as Cold Steel, which are now under the GSM Outdoor umbrella, have been making these lots of knives in those factories for a long time. I believe based off of what we've seen, not only in edge retention, toughness, and durability, they have heat treated and rock weld these well. I don't actually know, I was kind of hunting around, I don't know what the rock welds are on either of these, but those are both good stainless steel. You are going to get longer edge retention out of the Ether with the S35VN over the 154CM, but they're both going to perform very similarly in corrosion resistance. Compact knives like these should have really good multi-directional sheaths, and these sheaths are kind of a mixed bag. That's what they were attempting to do. Some attributes hit it out of the park, and some really fall short. Now, the benefit is these sheaths, though similar to the Altier series that we previously reviewed, that I was not a big fan of in its retention and it was already having some issues, these are designed better for one reason. These are Kydex plastic, polymer, but it's Kydex, according to the SOG website. And we have little teeth like a whole line on either side, inside that mouth there. That snag, the entire, is right there along that scale. It's on either side. There you go, you can see it. So it basically encapsulates and grabs both sides of the knife, and both knives are gonna be just like that, having that little groove that then snag it into place, giving it good edge retention. You're gonna get a little slap, but not much. So retention wise, it's working a lot better. I actually like sat there and was just like in and out, watching a show one day just to make sure that the polymer, the Kydex, wasn't like, you know, getting damaged. And so from both of mine, they are holding up well and gripping what needs to be done. Now this has their ambidextrous universal clip system that in theory should work really well. You can rotate it in any direction. You know, you can wear it horizontal, you could do like 45, and if, you know, flip it side to side. The issue comes in, and I've screwed this one down as hard as I can. I can just pull that screw and just like the whole clip starts to move and shift. So I can't seem on both of these to tighten these down in a way that for really hard, or you bumped it, you know, or whatever, that something isn't gonna get loose on these. You can see here, I'm pulling right here. I've already shifted that out. Boom. Okay, now it's exposed. Now it's exposed, and I can just like shift it back into place. It's not good. It's not a good retention system. You know, the idea is there, the clip is decent. You know, you can clip it on your belt, you could flip it inside out. And if you're just doing like belt or pocket carry horizontally, or it would be technically vertically, excuse me, vertically, it'll be fine. It's when you start wanting to like lash it in different options and like reverse carry on a shoulder strap, something like that, I just wouldn't trust these clips to operate in that capacity. Now, what about pricing and competitive options? And I got some interesting competitive options here momentarily to run in for us that will give us some food for thought. I appreciate SOG hooking me up with these models so I can point out the highs and the lows to us so we can better determine whether or not these are the right tools for us. And I will have links in the description below this video, not only to these SOGs, but also to the other competitive options I'm about to discuss with you. Now, the Ether goes for about $160, and the Provider goes for about $150. In 2023, with inflation and whatever, it's really hard to get like a beat on what is even like the right pricing for stuff in the market anymore. It's so crazy. I feel like it's kind of high for what these are and being Taiwanese made. Still great being Taiwanese made, but more like 125 seems like more reasonable, kind of like, okay, compared to what I'm about to show to you. As an example, Buck series. Now these are American made. This is the 420HC version. They have several sizes, but with this idea, being skeletonized, a really slim, light polymer sheath. This one is more like the Ether. They have like a 4-inch version. They have a large like fillet knife. They have several models. You can see the similar sizing here. The 420HC version is like $40 made in America. They do have their Pro S35VN, so same steel version with micarta little tactile point. That one is like, I don't know, $125, I think, $125. So if this was about that same price, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Taiwanese, American made. The issue is that ergonomically, the Ether and the Provider are way better ergonomically than this series. This series is kind of weird because you just throw this tiny little scale, fully exposing the tang still, and it's not ergonomic at all. They should have just completely removed that and just done paracord wrap, or given us two matching that were more flush with the spine. So these scales are more for just like pinching. I don't know. Ergonomically, the SOGs are way better than the Parlite, I don't know, Parlite series from Buck, even though those are a better value if you're talking about like, you know, what you get. And just for size difference, okay, this is obviously slim, lightweight. If you want like a BK2 in your pocket, the Joker, I wanna make sure I get this right, Arizo TS1 with Bowler N695 Spanish made. This thing is a brute. Right about that same size, but it's got a huge thick handle scale. The tang is super thick. It's way heavier. You know, saber grind. It's a little beast, but it's kind of fun just to mess around with. If you need a compact, you know, tool, Kydex sheath, you can get them with or without matching fire steels. Now the Bowler N695 is not going to be anywhere near as high performing as the S35VN on this model. So, but these go for I think like $65 to $75, Spanish made. So if you need something that's super heavy but really compact and like overbuilt, that's an option for you. Then if you're looking at the Provider, I thought this one would be kind of interesting since these are potentially kind of even in their name, like, you know, hunting knives. The Montana Knife Company Speed Goat in MagnaCut, Kydex sheath, you know, multi-directional. Thinner, it's gonna be like as thin as the Ether, but it's got about the same blade length as the Provider. So just kind of an option there as you're considering and, you know, musing whether or not these SOGs make sense with the Ether or the Provider. Well guys, I feel like SOG is definitely going in the right direction, particularly with the materials that they're choosing. The overall profile layout has a lot to offer. It's really gonna come down to the sheath mounting, and that's where I feel like it stumbles a little bit, and then just value compared to what else is out there, compared to how you feel like you're gonna use your tools. So I hope that this video has been not only just entertaining for you blade lovers out there, but help you guys now determine for yourself whether or not these are the right tools to start putting into rotation. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer that question for you. If you haven't, again, yet subscribed, I invite you to do so and check out the other video popping up. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.